Hello again. Welcome to John's Jazz Joint. We are looking at our third look at this lady from the big band era. Her name was Helen O'Connell. And today we're going to split our time with you into two sections. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about Helen O'Connell. And then secondly, I'll talk about a song that she did that was recently in 2009 voted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. But first of all, a word about Helen. She and her sister joined the Jimmy Dorsey band back in 1939, and in the next 4 year period, they had many hits, which we have been doing over the last two periods, last two sessions. We did Tangerine, Green Eyes, Amapola. Today, we're going to be doing a song called Brazil, which I'll get into in a moment or so. But just a word about Helen. She was more than just a big band singer. Uh, she, well, first of all, in her personal life, when she left the band in 1943, she married a very wealthy playboy, and they stayed together for quite a number of years, about 8 years, and then they divorced. They had three children. And then her next marriage was to a novelist by the name of Tom Chamalis, and this was a short marriage, only 3 years, from the age of 37 to 40. But they had two children, and so all in all, she had five children. She didn't marry again until 1965, and that didn't last very well at all. It was annulled. And then finally, she met what you might call an ideal husband, Frank DeVol. They married in 1991, and that lasted until her death 2 years later, liver cancer. But in addition to being a big band singer, Helen was also became a television personality. She was the host on the NBC morning show, and she was happy, she says in her memoirs, to be able to do something other than sing. The fact that she was a host meant that she could bring her talking skills into play. So Helen then was also, as you can see from the picture, a very delightful, charming person. She was with Bob Barkley for about 9 years, adjudicating, being the host of the Miss American competition, and then later on the Miss Universe competition. So I think my cat just went by. Anyway, so Helen had a very full life, a lot of experiences, and she was a very gracious singer. It's been a pleasure to follow her career. The last song we're going to look at is called Brazil. It was written, first of all, by a Portuguese person, by a Brazilian, I should say. And in Brazil, of course, the language is Portuguese, since at one time it was a Portuguese colony. Uh, the song originally was called Waters, Watercolors of Brazil, and it was written after a storm. And the author had been inspired to write about Brazil after a storm. Later on, Antonio Jobim put a bossa nova twist to it, different lyrics. This time it was a little closer to the girl from Ipanema, talking about a Brazilian girl. And finally, there was an American by the name of Bob Russell who wrote the version that Frank Sinatra recorded and made a hit. And also Bob Everly and the male singer that sang with Helen O'Connell, they went and recorded it in 1942, just before uh, Helen would leave the band in 1943. So here we are. We're taking a look at a bossa nova song, and I hope you enjoy it. It's it was also done by Chet Atkins and Les Paul. You may have come across them as well. They did a guitar version of Brazil. Anyway, here's our version of Brazil, and I hope you enjoy it. Brazil, where hearts were entertaining June. We stood beneath an amber moon and softly murmured, "Someday soon." We kissed and clung together then. Tomorrow was another day. The morning found me miles away, with still a million things to say. Now, when twilight dims the sky above, recalling thrills of our love, there's one thing I'm certain of: return I will to old Brazil. Well, there we have it then, folks. We've been looking at Helen O'Connell, and if you go to Google her, the big band of Jimmy Dorsey, uh, she, for a period of time there, she was America's sweetheart. And that's all for now. Bye. Take care.